What is going on, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice Pacers. The Indiana Pacers finished off their home stretch of the playoffs by finishing with a win. They defeat the New York Knicks by a score of 116 to 103. The Pacers now retie the series at 3-3 apiece. Game 7 will be headed back to Madison Square Garden in New York on Sunday. But the Pacers, in an elimination type of game, win or go home type of thing, Pacers are able to pull through, extend the series, and really it does all come down to Game 7 for the Indiana Pacers. But before we look ahead to Game 7, I want to kind of talk about here in Game 6 what the Pacers were able to do. Really off of a very forgettable performance against the New York Knicks in New York, where the Pacers, it's kind of crazy how both these teams have looked completely different when they're home versus when they're away, right? The Pacers, a couple games ago in game number 5, looked unstoppable. Like the Knicks couldn't stop them. And then pretty much the Knicks did the same thing the Pacers did to them in their own building, in game number 6. And so just kind of crazy how it's been so back and forth. There's obviously been a couple games where it's been close, but there's been a couple games where it's been double-digit wins by either squad. So it will be interesting to see what happens in game number 7. In this game here, the final game for the Indiana Pacers at home in this series, the Pacers were able to take care of business and win pretty handedly by 13 in this game. But let's jump right into this game because there's a lot of interesting things that happened when it came to the Indiana Pacers in this game. So really when you were starting it off, the Pacers and the Knicks, at least through one quarter, were fairly even. The Knicks had a 1-point lead. And really what separated this game, because for 3 out of the 4 quarters, these teams were fairly even. I mean, the Knicks won the first quarter. The Pacers won the third quarter by 3. The fourth quarter, each team were tied with the amount of points that they scored. But the big thing that changed this game was that second quarter for the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers outscored the Knicks 32-21. So an 11-point swing there by Indiana. And I think that was kind of the difference in this game for Indiana, was just that monster second quarter for them. Now, when you throw it over to some of the stats in this game for the Indiana Pacers, before we get into individual stats, we'll kind of look at some of the team stats. Pacers were by far the better shooting team on Friday. The Pacers outshot the Knicks percentage-wise and also just the amount of field goals attempted. They outshot them by 10%. The Pacers shot 54% field goal percentage. The Knicks only 44%. Now, I think part of the reason why the Knicks kind of were sort of in this game was the fact that they, were a little bit better when it came to the amount of, 3-point attempts they had. They attempted 34. The Pacers only attempted 26. But even still, the Pacers and the Knicks were fairly even when it came to the 3-point percentage. The Knicks just a little bit better, 38% to the Pacers, 35%. Free throw percentage exactly the same percentage-wise, although the Knicks, again, double the amount of times they got to the free throw line, which has been a common trend in this series. And there's been multiple games where the Knicks have just gone to the line so many more times than the Pacers, but the Pacers still were able to take care of business. Turnovers virtually the same here. The Knicks had 7, the Pacers had 8. The Pacers, again, another performance where they're able to pass the basketball around and play really good team basketball. The Pacers 35 assists in this game to the Knicks 20. So whenever the Pacers have a lot of assists, they typically do pretty well offensively. But the Pacers, no exception here, definitely were great in that department. Indiana did pretty good off the glass. They pretty much dominated when it came to the paint and also when it came to just getting rebounds. The Pacers 47 rebounds to the Knicks only 35 in this game. The Pacers did have a couple more blocks than the Knicks did. And then overall, really, when it came down to it, there were just a couple of those factors, shooting and then also just the amount of assists and rebounds that really separated this game for Indiana. Other than that, the game was pretty much deadlock even in a lot of different ways in a lot of different categories. And so definitely interesting there. But when you move over to some of the team stats, we'll start with the Knicks and we'll head into the Pacers stats here. The Knicks overall, Jalen Brunson continues to be just one of the better players in the NBA. Although he didn't shoot the greatest, on Friday, only 11 of 26 shooting, so well under 50% for Brunson. And he still finished at the end of the day with 31 points. So, I mean, this guy's going to get his own no matter what. But definitely an off day for Brunson shooting. And then when you look at some other guys here for the Knicks, other starters, McBride had 20. DiVincenzo only had 17. And then nobody else from their last two starters, Hartenstein and Hart, really did anything. Hartenstein only had 4. Hart only had 5 in this game. And they really were off shooting, especially Hart, 2 for 8 shooting in this game. So not a great game for him. And then a couple guys off the bench for the Knicks did some stuff. Achua and Burks both had, double-digit points in this game. But really, when you look at it, it was Jalen Brunson and pretty much everybody else when it came to scoring the basketball. And so that was definitely something that we've seen in this series before. Jalen Brunson, great player, no doubt about it. But I think that's what the Pacers want. They want Brunson to really be the only offensive production. They don't want to allow guys like DiVincenzo and Hartenstein and Hart to beat them, because they have in previous games. They want to be able to kind of make Brunson play some hero ball, and that's kind of what they did in this game in a lot of ways. And I think that's why you saw, he attempted 26 shots and he only made 11 of those. So that's kind of what you want if you're Indiana. You want basically to try to force Brunson to be all of the offense for the Knicks and take a lot of shots. And again, he's a great player, so he's going to get his own. But I think if you can do that and you can really take away some of those other options, which is what Indiana did in this game, that's going to serve you extremely well when it comes to this. I mean, every single starter for the Knicks was in the negative category by double digits. And that's a great thing for Indiana as well. So Pacers definitely did some really, really good things. And really just a couple guys off the bench had some positive things. It was really the only players who had, positive plus minus in this game were some of those guys who only had 4 to 3 minutes on the court. So definitely a great thing for the Pacers defensively, being able to kind of limit the Knicks shooting the basketball on Friday. So definitely a great thing for them. Now, when you move it over to the Pacers, there's a lot of different guys. There wasn't necessarily like a Jalen Brunson type of performance, like there wasn't just one guy that was like so far above everybody else. But I think if you had to name one guy that was kind of that in any capacity, it was Pascal Siakam in this game, which is great to see because Pascal Siakam has really struggled in a couple of these games, in this series especially. Siakam just has not been the Pascal Siakam that we've really seen him be all year. So great to see him coming back here and having 25 points in this game. 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 11 of 21 shooting. So still not a great performance shooting, but it's great to see Pascal Siakam actually making his presence known. So that's definitely great and taking advantage of some of these, depleted lines for the New York Knicks. Then when you throw it over, a couple guys here for the Pacers who had some good games. Miles Turner, 17 points on 31 minutes, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 10 shooting in this game. Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard both had 15 in this game, both 6 of 12 shooting as well. Tyrese has just, for whatever reason, really struggled from the three-point range for a while now. It's definitely been an issue, but, great to see Tyrese. He almost had a double-double in this game. He was 1 assist short of a double-double. So this guy was doing a little bit of everything for Indiana. And then Nembhard again, just a good performance from him. He had the most minutes out of any of these starters with 38 minutes. But great to see him kind of putting together a pretty well-rounded performance offensively with, 15, 6, and 6. So definitely great there. Aaron Nesmith didn't really have a whole lot going on when it came to shooting, although out of the 5 starters, he did attempt the least amount of shots. Only attempted 8 shots in this game, was 4 of 8 from that category. But again, he didn't shoot well from beyond the arc either. So the Pacers really didn't have a great performance shooting from beyond the arc, but still were able to win, by double-digit points. I think that's definitely a great thing and great sign, because we know the Pacers can and will shoot it very well from the three-point line, but they can have these bad performances from the line and still be able to take care of business pretty handedly. That's definitely a great thing. And then a couple guys off the bench who did some good stuff. I mean, TJ McConnell, what can you say? Continues to be really that just menace, as the Knicks has put it. Be that menace for them. Just be so annoying, but so critical for the Pacers and what they do off the bench. 15 points in 16 minutes. That's pretty efficient. You also had 2 rebounds and 4 assists in this game. TJ McConnell, what can you say? He's been the spark from this bench for the Indiana Pacers. And then you got Obi Toppin. Just some solid performances from him. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. He was 5 of 6 shooting, so he was really feeling himself shooting. Ben Shepherd, 4 points in 19 minutes and 4 rebounds, 1 of 3 shooting. And then really the only other guy that got any sort of minutes in this game was Isaiah Jackson. He had 4 points in 12 minutes, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, but he definitely shot it well. In his 2 attempts, he made both of those as well. So, as a whole, when you look at it, Indiana took care of business. They continue to be undefeated, not just in this series, but also just overall in the playoffs at home. The Pacers continued that streak. They are now 3-0 in this series, being in their own building. The big challenge will come in New York because the Pacers have not yet won in New York. They've had opportunities. They haven't taken care of business yet. So this is definitely, what can you say? This is it. This is it for Indiana. They have to prove that they belong. If they want to advance to the next round, they got to do the hard thing, and they got to win in New York, right? We know they can win at home, but can they win in New York? That is the biggest question for the Indiana Pacers. But again, definitely a great performance from them here on Friday night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in order to extend the series to game number 7. And now it is it. It is time for Indiana or New York to move on to the next round. So we'll see if Indiana can take care of business. Guys, curious your thoughts overall on this Pacers' latest win to extend the series to 7 games and tie it up at 3-3 apiece in terms of this series. Definitely been a great series for both the Pacers and the Knicks. Definitely been a fun one, and so it's going to be sad to see this series have to end here on Sunday, but we'll see if the Pacers are moving on and facing potentially the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll see. So, guys, let me know your thoughts overall here on the Indiana Pacers win against the New York Knicks at home. That'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Pacers.